Oh!
Yeah, it's like actually on fire.
We just bought this CBR 954 that's been sitting for the last 15 years. And as you guys can see from the damage, there's a reason why this bike hasn't been on the road. Now the real question is, after sitting alone and forgotten for over a decade, will we be able to get this bike to run? Today we have a 2003 Honda CBR 954 RR. This was the last variation of the CBR 900 series before they switched to the CBR 1000 in 2004. Now this bike was wrecked back in 2010 and it was taken in by a tow yard after the accident, and that's where it's been sitting ever since. Now you can tell by the damage and all of the debris from this bike, this thing needs a lot of love and work ahead so we can get this thing running, but we love a good challenge here at RK Motorsports, so let's see what we can do to get this bike up and going and breathe some life back into this Honda 954 RR. The whole front end of the bike has been sheared off. Springs from our forks are all rusted. I mean, that's not supposed to do that. Big dents on our fork tubes. Our bottom of our fork is completely sheared off with our axle. This has been just a crazy amount of damage on this bike. We've got our gauge cluster. We don't even know how many miles are on this bike. We have a hole in the stator cover, and I don't even know if there's any oil in this bike anymore. So one thing we're gonna have to do is go through, see if we can get this thing turned over first, just to see if the motor's free. There was a puncture on the side over here, and you guys can see there's a hole right there. So I'm sure some water probably got into this tank. This was, damaged in the wreck, so we're gonna have to kind of bypass that for our kill switch. Our start switch button does still work. It's a little iffy. I'm sure there are some critters that have been calling this thing home. The first thing I noticed is our bracket for the gas tank. This thing just got shifted over to the side. It's all off to the side over here. Everything got shifted from that impact. Right there's where all that damage was, shifted over. They look pretty clean under there. A little bit of fuel in there. A bit of water. Ooh, she smells right. Pull that vent hose out. So it actually doesn't look too bad underneath here. It looks fairly clean for the most part. All right, airbox screws are off. Wow, that's actually really clean. So I'm gonna see underneath here. Wow, that's actually super clean too. I thought for sure there was gonna be some kind of animals or mouse nest in there. That's super clean. That's very surprising. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take the side fairing off, and then we're gonna get down to the clutch cover, and we're gonna see if we can turn this engine over by hand. Woo, look at that. Holy cow, oh, we got one more in here. There we go. That's where it says Honda. All right, I'm going for 17. Bingo. Looks like there's oil in there, which is good. So if this spins, then we have a free engine. That's good. She's free moving. So we know our engine is not seized up. That is a good sign. So I'm gonna pop this back up here. And what we're gonna do now, what are we gonna do now? I don't know what we're gonna do now. Excellent. I think we'll try and maybe put some power to the engine. Not necessarily the engine, but positive and negative leads on the bike. See if we can maybe get it to crank. But first we should probably put some oil in this bike because I don't think there's any oil in this thing right now. So we'll throw a little oil in. We'll throw some power on and fingers crossed, see if we can get anything. I'm waiting for a mouse to jump out. Oh, that looks important. That looked important. Look at this. Thing looks like brand new. get that up in there. Come on, right there. We're gonna try and drain whatever oil / mysterious liquids are out of this engine before we put some fresh stuff in. Do you think there's gonna be any oil in here?
I hope there's a little bit.
Oh God, let's see. If there's any water in the engine, it's gonna come out first too. Oh, oh man, that doesn't look good at all.
It's kind of unexpected.
That's a lot more water than I thought it was gonna be. Well, hey, at least the motor's free. Well, there ain't much in here, but you know what? There at least was some oil in there. So, you know, that's, it's a Honda, she'll run. I'm not worried about it, she's a Honda. That's pretty bad. We'll let that finish draining out of there. Oil, yes, we need oil. Oil. All right, so we have our miscellaneous mix of partial 1040 oils that we're gonna be putting in this thing from jugs that we have kicking around the shop here. So we're gonna fill this up, cross our fingers. We probably should have seen if we even have power before we put all this oil in here, but you know what? That's part of the fun. We're just experimenting over here. Just a simple disclaimer, don't try any of this at home. We are trained professionals. All right, so we got oil in the bike now. I just did a little magic stuff off camera that I'm not legally gonna show you guys with the ignition. So now I am going to get our positive and negative on the battery. Not necessarily the battery, because there is no battery in this bike right now, but we're just gonna pop this right up to the starter solenoid, the wire leads for this bike, and we are gonna turn this on. No surprise, nothing happened right now. James popped the fuel pump out of the bike. Just out of curiosity, I wanna see if this thing will function or prime at all. Plug this guy in here. Kill switch. I think I have to do something with the kill switch still because our kill switch is this right now. So there's a chance, 50-50 chance that when I turn this, it will or will not power, which it did not. So I have to do something with the kill switch real quick. Slight intermission. James had a very bright idea that I should probably try turning the key. And I didn't have the key turned, so let's see if this does anything. This is not doing anything. All right, so I just checked our main fuse. Main fuse is intact. I'm gonna try and bypass the ignition altogether, and we're just gonna try and jump the starter solenoid just to see if we can get any type of cranking. Probably just do negative here. All right, so if I turn this, it might crank the motor. Oh, okay. I'm gonna let this crank for a second. That was the starter going, cranking the motor. There's hope. There's hope. It cranks. It cranks. There's hope. All right, so it does that. Don't have any power to the key. I'm just gonna check and see if this bike is in neutral real quick. Okay, so it looks like it's in neutral. I just popped the kickstand up. Maybe our kickstand sensor was causing the bike not to run. Let me try and turn the key again. I checked the main fuse, but I never checked the other fuses. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna get my multimeter, AKA the multimeter. Odds are one of these is probably blown. Connection, connection, connection. Okay, so this one is blown. And that one is blown. So those two for the turn, so indicator meter and the horn. So these two are blown because we didn't get that continuity connection. So I'm gonna replace those. This one should be blown, which you can see that is blown up, and you can see this one is also blown right there. Our new ones are intact, so we're gonna replace those. And let's try that again. Fingers crossed. Power is on. Try this again. Come over here. We have power to our gauge cluster. It's not much, but we have power to our gauge cluster. We're in neutral right now. This is very exciting. So here's our turn on. Okay. So right now we're technically key would be on right now with our beautiful key. We'll see if we get any power to the pump. Okay, no power to the pump. What I'm gonna try now is we're gonna see if we get 12 volts to the plug at least. Fuel pump right now, just because it's so crusty, I'm just gonna assume this thing is seized up. So we're gonna get our multimeter again, and if we get 12 volts going to the pump, then we know that the electronics should be functioning. Still not getting any power to start cranking the motor, and we're also not getting any power to the fuel pump. We're gonna pop this air box off. We're gonna get down here a little bit more. We're gonna see if we can find any maybe broken wires or anything like that. James did point out too that over here, this is the plug from like the left side control switch. We got this wire right here that's kind of broken, just kind of dangling here, which goes down under the air box. Let's get the bottom half of the air box off and we'll dive into it a little bit more. Oh, here we go. We got this green wire here. That looks like that pulled out of here. What are these? Oh, this isn't even connected right now. That could be an issue. Here's the other end of that blue and white wire. Yeah, we got this random green wire coming off. Pull this off here. There we go. This, oh, that was, that was also just loose in there. You can see we've got some partially pulled out wires here. And we may have found why this bike was not starting. If you guys see right here, this is not fully clipped in. This actually is the main plug for the kill switch and like the start button. So what I'm gonna do is, there we go. We should be connected now. Wait, now we should be, now we should be connected. So we repaired some of the wires up here. I soldered the blue and white wire, repinned the wires that were kind of popped out of here, and we're gonna try again to get this thing to crank over. So I got the power on, gauge clusters on, still doing the same thing. James may have found the reason why this is not starting. If we look over here, he found some damage to the outer casing on our wire harness, and he's like, hey, this black wire right here is not connected. And if we follow that back inside the start switch, that black wire goes right here, and that is part of our start switch right there. So what I'm gonna do, have a good feeling about this one, but then again, we've had the same feeling about that for the last 5 things. If we repair this, I have a feeling this thing might start cranking over. All right, pull it back. Boom. See if we can start it up again for the 537th time. I don't feel confident, but I do at the same time. I don't want to get my hopes up. Let me try with the kill switch. Oh! Yeah! Okay, we're getting somewhere. Woo! There's hope. There's hope. Oh my goodness. Should we just start spraying some starting fluid in this thing? Yeah, I mean, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Bike's gonna blow up. All right, let me get the starting fluid can. I actually looked down in here. The valves actually look really, really clean. How you feeling? You got confidence? Oh! Did you see all the stuff pop out of the exhaust? Look at all the crud that came out of the exhaust here. Oh, this is all the carbon from the inside of the, exhaust pipe. And another little shot of the go-go juice. It ran. All right, sweet. That's awesome. Let's get the fuel tank swapped on here so we can see if this thing can actually run on its own. What we're doing now is we're currently gonna try and take the tank off of our CBR 600 parts bike, swap that tank over to the 954. I believe the holes and everything for the fuel pump should be the same. She's a Honda. I had faith in her the whole time. Taking the fuel tank from the CBR 600, and we're gonna swap that over to the 954. Both of these early 2000 CBRs, they have the banjo bolt set up for the fuel pump. A lot of newer bikes, they'll have like just a plastic clip that goes onto the bottom. So this style is a little bit outdated, a little bit older. The fact that this style is the same as the 954 is very helpful, just for the fact that we can just temporarily throw this tank on here just to see if we can get this thing running on its own. Ooh, hold on. There's not much fuel in the tank either. What is that? Oh, we are pouring gas. That's fuel. All right, I'm gonna kill all power. Oh man, it was running good on its own. Is that fuel or is that water?
I hope it's water.
Do the old sniff test. Oh yeah, that's gas. That's not good. That is not good. Let's dive into the gas situation and then we'll be right back. All right, so we found the issue why we were just spewing gas everywhere. If you guys look right here, this is our old fuel pump. We have our inlet here, that hole where the banjo bolt goes in, and then we have this auxiliary tube right here. If you look at our current fuel pump tank setup, this just has the output for the banjo bolt, and we don't have that auxiliary tube like on the other one. So basically this tube with the hose clamp on it right here, that is our return line from our fuel rail. So over here, fuel goes out this tube into this side of the fuel rail, into the main injectors, and then any extra fuel pressure goes out this way and back into the tank. Since we don't have an input port back into the tank, this was literally just spewing gas all over.
Right here you can see we plugged our return line for our fuel tank with a bolt and a hose clamp, preventing any fuel from spraying out. Now we can start this bike up and see if it will run on its own. Everything seemed to be running great with the bike up until this point. Keep your eyes right here.
What was that?
I don't know. It wasn't good.
That didn't sound good.
I don't know. I think you should wait before trying that again. Because that looked like it was on my side.
What?
Damn explosion.
There was an explosion?
Yeah.
After James told me that we had a large explosion from the bike while running it, we decided to look into it a little bit further and ended up coming across this issue with the bike.
The throttle body actually is not even seated 100% on the bike. This is what we were dealing with. Our intake was not even on the engine all the way, so we're gonna push that down on there. And yeah, she's a Honda. She'll just run under any circumstances. Look at that. She was not seated. That's why we were getting those flames shooting out. We're gonna pop that on, run her again. The needle for the RPMs was actually going up too.
Now that we have the bike running good, it's time to take the remaining suspension parts off the bike and replace that with our new set of front forks so we can take this up and down the road and do a top speed run. Just kidding, we're not doing that. This bike is not safe for the road, but what it is safe for is doing a nice toasty burnout right outside the shop. So let's take this outside and roast the rear tire.
It's probably one of the sketchier things I've ever done. I'm not proud of this one. This thing looks like a total piece of crap. We have a 636 front end here. Start of this video, I did not think this thing was gonna run. I think I had like a 10% chance of this thing running. I'm Robin, this wrecked 954 has been sitting for 15 years. Will it run? Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's like actually on fire.
Dude, get here. I'll get the hose. Record it. She runs. Woo! So it turns out after 15 years of sitting, this CBR 954 will run, and it also will catch on fire. So let me know in the comments below what you guys thought about this video. Kind of a different type of video that we're doing. Will it run? Thinking about maybe doing other videos like this. Let me know some feedback in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Been sitting for over... There's a reason why this bike has not been running since then.